What is up, Transformers? I wanted to take a minute today and talk about the pro code. And it's essentially, it's kind of like I think of this as the behind the scenes ways that we can grow our business and certainly grow our reputation that aren't always talked about. But man, are difference makers in such big ways. Little things little hinges, right, that swing big doors. And sometimes just hearing about these things reminds us and makes us more aware of little things we can do to communicate better, to serve our clients better, to raise expectations from our clients for what we need from them. And the pro code was really hammered into me by my great friend and mentor, John Carlton. He speaks about this a lot. It's something he really believes in. And the simple way that he phrases the pro code is being where you said you'd be when you said you'd be there, having done what you promised to do. And that is a beautiful, very Carlton-esque, big picture look at what the pro code is. If you just follow that all the time, you'd be ahead of the pack. I can tell you. But there's some greater nuance to this, and so I took it upon myself to make an acronym because I just like thinking in acronyms. And again, I looked at all the things that I've done in my career and that I work with freelancers to do now that seem to make the difference. And to be honest, most of these things don't need to be taught to the right people. They're instinctive. And so I think of this list, hopefully, and it'll be received this way as a sort of a confirmation of the fact that you are indeed following the pro code already. But if there's any gaps in your game when it comes to how you operate, hopefully this will help bring those to the surface. So this is 3 adjectives that you want attached to you as a service provider. That's the pro part. And the code is 4 verbs to live by on every project. All right. So the adjectives: punctual, responsible, and organized. If people think of you that way as a service provider, that is something they're going to brag about, remember, and they're going to feel great about working with you, and they're going to recommend you to others. The 4 verbs for you to live by, this is more like an internal checklist for you: communicate, obligate, deliver, and energize. Okay, those are 4 simple things that you can make sure that you're bringing to every project so that you know you're delivering your best and doing your best work. So punctual means being where you'd be when you said you'd be there, right? To quote John. Don't miss meetings or deadlines. And if something absolutely forces you to reschedule, communicate it early and be proactive about new dates, right? Just don't say, hey, I can't make that meeting on Tuesday, and leave it at that. Say, here's 3 other times that work for me. Sorry for the inconvenience, but let me know if any of these work. And, you're thinking ahead. That's being proactive. So if you're ever late for something, just apologize, take responsibility. Little gestures like that. They don't demean you. They actually elevate you, right? When you're willing to take responsibility for, time. Everybody feels short on time. So one thing for me, I hate when I waste somebody's time. It kills me when I miss a meeting or if I arrive late to a meeting, but it happens. And so when it does, I'm sure to make it clear that I'm regretful that I did that. Like I say here, being punctual is more than a courtesy. It's a character trait, and it shows that you're respectful to others and expect the same in return. Responsible means that you see the big picture and take a proactive approach to delivering great work, right? So show your project partners they can count on you to remember details and come through on promises. Being a reliable person inspires trust from your colleagues and opens the doors to strong collaboration. Think about it. Like when you meet a stranger on a park bench, you have small talk because you're both assessing whether it's safe to be there and engage with one another. And that's what being organized helps other people you're working with on especially on a virtual team, when they feel like they can trust you to show up and do that stuff. They will really they'll trust you more, and it'll make for a better collaboration. So it's the heart of what makes someone great to work with. And again, with a lot of these, like I said, these nuances, like people may not pick up on every little thing you do, but they will be certain that they love having you involved because you're a responsible person, right? So just be responsible. Organized means you present yourself and your ideas in a way that is easy to understand, and messages and material from you arrive organized and in a user-friendly format. Like check your links, especially when you're turning in, sharing documents. We've all done the accidentally sending a document when there's no permission to share. Not a huge thing. Everybody does it. But if you're the kind of person who thinks ahead and says, oh, let me double check to make sure that this thing I'm sending this person, they can actually open and read. Simple things like that, right? If you're sending a lot of stuff, like when you're sending the final project, usually there's several documents, right? Like list out, here's what you'll find inside, bold headlines for what's in each folder or document, and short notes about any of it. Just give them context as you would if you were presenting it in person, right? Don't just say, here's the stuff, and then open it. And because if they're wondering what they're looking at, for sure, they're not quite clear. They're not going to be having the experience of enjoying your work. They're going to be also kind of wondering, do I know what I'm reading here? So just, you can't really over explain. Just be organized and help people understand exactly what you're presenting to them. Communicate. This is my number one for everything, because when you're a good communicator, it encompasses everything in the pro code, and it all comes out in communication. And I think this is where people fall down the most, and it is the costliest mistake you can make. Just be a proactive, clear communicator, a present communicator. So it means, like I said, being proactive. If a client has to ask how things are going on a project, then you failed in communicating expectations and progress. Again, this is something a mentor had to tell me. I actually said to him, yeah, it's like annoying. They'll keep asking me, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, I told them I was working on it 2 weeks ago. And he'll say, if they have to ask, you've failed. And I was like, man, that's immediately true. So just be the first to communicate. I've had people do this, vendors I work with, and they will send me weekly updates just to say, hey, still working on the thing I told you we were working on last week. Just letting you know we're engaged in it, it's happening, and we still plan to hit the deadline, no problems. Great. I don't have to have a second thought, There's no, needling wonderment in my head about what's actually happening. Just like one sentence email to let people know I'm on it, all is well. So always better to over communicate than to under communicate. And this is important. This is true before, during, and after projects. All right. So before, the big one is follow up with leads twice more than you're comfortable with. Right? Twice more at least. That feeling when you get, like, oh God, am I coming off weak here? Am I being needy? They're going to think I got nothing else going on if I keep No. I've heard over and over and over from clients of every level. I wish people would be more proactive because I meant to get back to them and I forgot, or I somehow missed their last message, or people are busy. And think about the way people receive communication. And we do it on the go. We mean to save something as unread so we can reply, but then we realize we're in the middle of traffic and we almost got run over. So a million things can just over communicate and follow up twice more at least than you're comfortable with. During a project, send updates even when workflow has been established. I just talked about that. Afterwards, check in and ask about the results of the project to keep the relationship strong. Okay, it's a big one. Don't just turn in the work and get the last payment and then disappear because you'll be forgotten, right? Be an advocate, be a partner. Hey, how's it going? Hey, anything else you need? Hey, did it launch? What kind of, be a true advocate. Most importantly, when necessary, be willing to have difficult conversations. This is, to me, again, this is the big one that most people just cop out on. They'll ghost. They don't want to have a difficult conversation. And I'm telling you, when your intention is right and you're willing to communicate, it will always lead to the right result. It may not be immediate. If you have to give somebody bad news, they may not love it in the moment, but they will always respect that you were willing to be proactive in having a difficult conversation, all right? So that's just huge. If you do that, you will have longevity. Okay, this is the one you probably weren't expecting, right? Obligate. This means making sure that people understand their obligations to you on a project. Making clear to project partners the things you need delivered and when in order to do your best work. Too often, freelancers hesitate to express the client's obligations to the project out of fear of being a nuisance, when in fact, quality clients expect you to be clear and proactive about your needs. Okay, huge. In my contracts, I would have the list of deliverables, the things I was delivering, and when I deliver them, my promised deadlines, and a list of client deliverables, things I needed with deadlines before I could get started on the project. If I needed to contact customers, if I needed to talk to team members, if I needed access to previous content or sales pages, whatever it is. If I need a call with the guru, when's that happening? And to make it clear to them, I can't start doing anything until all these things have happened. So you're obligated to me to make sure we stay on our timeline. Let's make sure we're working together to produce the best thing we possibly can. If you don't make that clear, it won't happen. So you've got to manage the project in that regard. And believe me, they will appreciate that you have a plan, that you know what you need. They will be happy to give it to you because they will feel confident that they're in good hands. All right. Obligate. Deliver means, the material you promised arrives complete, organized, and on time. Simple. Send notes and instructions to show that you're enthusiastic about the project upon completion as you were in closing the deal. Okay, again, you're not just, blah, here's your stuff and thanks for the money. It's, showing as much enthusiasm and energy as be the same best friend you were when you were closing the deal as you are when you're delivering the goods. And then energize means bringing energy and enthusiasm to every project. Establish this standard early in your career, all right? It'll serve as a trusty signal on which kinds of projects and clients energize you and your work. And that'll make it feel effortless to deliver your best work, okay? Do you get that? So this is, again, about you. This is your criteria. And I know in the very early days, you may not have this luxury, but sooner than later in your career, recognize which kinds of projects and what kinds of clients energize you and get you excited about doing the work, and make that your criteria, because as you go, you should be able to eliminate the things that feel like a drag and you're only doing for the money, because you just won't be doing your best work. You won't be excited about it, and it'll show in the work. All right. So there you go. Punctual, responsible, organize, communicate, obligate, deliver, energize. The pro code. Let's live it and let it be the foundation of how we operate.